Welcome to Parks and Cons, companion podcast, the parksandcons.com website and YouTube channel, where we discuss cons, theme parks, collecting, and other fun stuff. It's May 7th, 2022. I'm your host, Sean. I'm here with Carmel.
Hi there.
Parks and Cons, your on-the-spot podcast. You get the hard acts, the best conventions and themed entertainment events around. Today, we are recording in San Diego, right in front of the bayfront, out by the water, nestled near the convention center. San Diego Comic-Con time of year is just right around the corner, but we're not talking Comic-Con today. We are talking comics, though, and lots of them, with Free Comic Book Day returning for the first time since 2019. So it's one of those things, been a long window there without it, and we've loved doing the Free Comic Book Day crawls for many years, and it was fun. I don't even know when this actually began, but at some point with the Free Comic Book Day crawls began, like the Thursday night big comic book movie release. I think mostly been Marvel movies, and so we haven't had one of those corresponding. We've had kind of a lighter version of a Free Comic Book Day. Last year there was the Halloween Fest. None of that, though, the same. It's like a true first Saturday of May tradition, and so that's back. Obviously, Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness was out or is out this weekend, so it just felt like the perfect kind of confluence of things to kind of celebrate all that. And I mean, we had planned to do the comic book crawl regardless of any of that, but it just felt like it all kind of fit together really nicely. And so you had put together a plan for us to return to the San Diego area, because I think San Diego's always been, there's just that entire drive from the Inland Empire down to San Diego has a lot of good highlight spots. Not that it doesn't when we go out to Orange County or LA, but it just kind of felt like, you know, a really fitting way to go about it this year.
Yeah, usually each year I kind of select a direction, or we'd select and whatever direction to go from, like, our house. So it's like, should we head out to the Orange County area? Should we head out to South Orange County? Should we head out to LA? Should we head out to San Diego? Being that we live in Riverside, you can kind of pick whatever direction you want to go in, and there's usually something good in that direction. And so I don't know. I felt kind of like San Diego would kind of be more of a relaxed visit for us. Things in the non-Parks and Cons world and the real world stuff have been quite hectic lately, to say the least, and have been kind of all over the place. And so I thought, well, if we can go to an area that we can ultimately end up in this location where it's always kind of a relaxing spot for us and we kind of enjoy hanging out down here, then let's kind of go in that direction. And we know a lot of the shops kind of in this kind of general area. We know that they're good shops, and so I figured rather than, guessing a lot, we did try a few new places, but rather than just kind of blindly going in a direction, I chose this one. But yeah, in the end, it was more because of things being so crazy in the real world, non-Parks and Cons stuff, that I just kind of thought, let's go with something familiar and kind of more relaxed, and let's just try to make it a more pleasant day rather than a rushed, crazy, frenetic sort of day. So
yeah, and I'm not even sure what our record is for this. Like, I think we hit like 9 shops one year, or maybe we hit 10 or something like that. But this year, you had a list of maybe 9 or something. We ended up doing 6 of them, but we did not, push really hard. We kind of just made the drive, and obviously hitting 6 is a lot more than a lot of people do on the day. I mean, a lot of people, Free Comic Book Day, they hit their one spot, and that is it. And that can be kind of really fun, too. I mean, I saw our friend Bob had his, he was making nuclear comics kind of his destination, and he said he posted on Facebook that he was there at 6:30 in the morning. People were there at 4 in the morning, and basically the first 100 customers would get all of the 50 titles of Free Comic Book Day, just each issue free and all set. And so, some people kind of find that once, but I know 4-Color Comics is really fun. We've loved them quite a bit out in Rancho, and they do it is very much like a convention thing where people wait in line like overnight, and then when they get in there, they spend potentially hours there with different artists and sketches and stuff. And you and I have always liked to kind of just pop around and try to see as many things as possible, which is obviously a lot of what we do just generally with Parks and Cons stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I like Free Comic Book Day, or that we do this because we do try some different shops that we may not have tried, because always, today included, it's like I'll go through and, okay, we know that these places we've been to, we know kind of what they offer, but I'm always like searching for other stores, and also, unfortunately, lots of times also marking off places that we've gone to in the past that don't exist anymore, or have moved or whatever. And so I kind of like it as our opportunity to kind of go to some new places and see what different places have to offer and stuff, and just kind of go from there. And it's, to me, kind of a cool way to do Free Comic Book Day. And just, right off the top, if you're not familiar with the way Free Comic Book Day works, the comic books are not free to the stores, to the retailers. They do pay, it's a reduced amount, but they do pay some amount. So we do make it a point when we go to these shops that we always do buy something at the location if we're taking the comic books with us. There have been times that we've stopped at places and they're, for whatever reason, if it's whatever the reason is, if we end up not buying something, it's also, we also don't take the books or whatever. It's just kind of a thing for us to try to support the retailers and stuff. And so we do buy something. So free comic book day is never free for us, but it gives us an opportunity to experience new things. So
yeah, and so we started out the journey down the 215 to the 15, and our first stop was about 45 minutes down from where we live in Murrieta, and we made our way to Graham Crackers, which this used to be Ryan's Comics, and Ryan's Comics was a really challenging location. It's not a small shop, but it's a narrow, strip mall type of a shop. It's not a huge shop, and so they would have people lined up sometimes for like hours out there, and we kind of like weren't going to check it, and then we're like, well, let's at least check it, because Graham Crackers is a great kind of chain. I believe they have 11 comic stores. I think home base is in Chicago. We see them a lot of times at conventions. They have beautiful wall books a lot of times there, but it's like, well, let's see if we can check it out. And we pulled up, and there was like maybe one or two people outside the store, and we're like, okay, this is fine. There's no real line. So we made our way in. Now, we learned once we got in, it was a very slow-moving line, and we probably spent, 40 minutes there in line, which is something I don't think we've ever done for a free comic book day anywhere. But it was one of those things, like, once we were in it, we were like, okay, well, we've already waited 10 minutes. It probably won't be much longer. Okay, we waited 20 minutes, and we're getting closer. We also realized, you told me to go check, and like the way they had free comic book day set up is they had a table at the front of the store, at the back of the store, I should say, near the cash registers, that had one copy of everything they had for free comic book day out. And then what the whole wait was everybody making their way to that table to then tell an employee which issues they wanted, and then the employees had to pick the issues from underneath. So in contrast, most places we go, including today, almost everywhere else we went after that, if not, I think just about everywhere else that had free comic book day still going, they just have the stacks of comics and you just grab them, and it's like a really fast situation. But it was nice that they had them all, and then their policy was it was 3 books for free, which is also very limiting and a lot less than what a lot of places are. And then you can get 3 additional for free if you left them a Google review. So we both did that.
Or if you're in cosplay.
Or if you're in cosplay, yeah.
You could also get 3.
And then you could also buy the books at $1 a piece. So we decided, as we were kind of waiting there, immediately I was looking, because they had some great bins there of just older books, and they had a Green Lantern number 17 that looked really clean for $20. I mean, my point being clean for a $20 version of the book. And it was like, wow, this is really cool. This would be this isn't just kind of throwing money at the store to try to, help support them. This is like something I really would like. It's a key issue to me, not a key issue in general, but just something that I'm really kind of seeking. And they have all the books, so like, let's just grind it out. And so we did, and we got our books. I ended up buying 6 of their books also for $1 then. So basically, you got 6, I got 6. We paid for 6 for $6, so we had 18 books. And what that did was basically cover pretty much everything I was really hunting for 2022, which is always kind of a big thing to me, is as early as possible try to get the books that you want, and then that way the rest of the day is kind of, it's like, you go to Vegas and you win $100, and now you're like, okay, we're playing with the house money, so the rest of the day you kind of relax, like, well, we don't have to push quite as hard. We can still get multiples of books for giveaways or help friends out or things like that. But it was also nice they didn't stamp their books. A lot of times for free comic book day, they do have a spot where the stores can give a stamp, and that is obviously helping to promote the store as advertisement. But as a collector, you don't really love the stamps on the book. So the fact that it was it was stampless, they had that great Green Lantern number 17 for $20. We could get all of the books pretty much that we wanted. We did that, and that is the least efficient way to do free comic book day as a fan. It's the least favorite way for a fan, but I do know many comic retailers say they don't get much out of free comic book day in terms of returning customers. Like, a lot of people show up for the free books and then don't come back until 12 months later to get their next free books. So I think this might be their way of also kind of like building relationships and trying, like, because you would have like the front of the line, it's like the parents with the 2 kids, and they were like talking to the 2 kids about like, well, what interests you in school and what grade are you, and okay, well, you might like this book. And so I think it was very purposeful on their part to get you in the store longer and kind of looking around and trying to build that. But for a lot of people in line like us, or I heard other people who had gone to other places, like the next stop we'll talk about, SoCal Comics and Games, it was kind of like, what's taking so long? But in the end, we got a lot of good stuff, even though it was a very slow process.
Yeah, and they really they didn't have any. Did they have any sales or anything at that location?
None that they made clear, no.
Yeah, and so a lot of the retailers, and we'll talk about them, will offer different sales in celebration of Free Comic Book Day. But there, I don't think they did, and so it was. Yeah, there just wasn't too much going on back when it was Ryan's comic book store, where the line was really crazy, and more often than not we would drive by and like, yeah, we're not stopping in that, or we can't even find parking, we'll just keep going. They used to do, like, I feel like there were artists and there was like balloons and there was more celebration stuff out front, so I don't know that we've been there since it's been
No.
graham crackers, so I don't even know when that transitioned over.
Well, I've shopped there as graham crackers, but not for Free Comic Book Day. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So, so yeah, it's just was kind of different than what it used to be for Free Comic Book Day, and so yeah, it was all kind of different. So again, a good reason for us to try this place that we've tried in its previous version. You've tried in its new version. I haven't, but yeah, it was just cool stop, and we were able to get kind of the things we wanted and stuff. Even though I know it killed your feet, if you've not listened to us before. Long story short, Sean has feet issues, so standing still, especially on hard cement, concrete, whatever, is like super painful for him. And so that was the thing that was bugging me the most about the whole situation, was that I knew this was just killing you and killing your feet, and it's like, this is our first stop, and I don't know how you're going to hold up the rest of the day, but you managed.
Yeah. And there's people in line in front of us talking about SoCal Comics and Games and how, quick it was moving and how many books you could get there and all of that stuff. And we knew, we had talked about beforehand, is the shop itself, we've stopped many times throughout the year, not just for Free Comic Book Day. And it always feels mostly like a gaming, location. It's called SoCal Comics and Games. It's in Temecula. It's over off Winchester at the Temecula Mall there. A very kind of crazy spot to be going on a Saturday
Not
with all
in
the
the
traffic.
mall, detached from the mall, but kind of in that same kind of shopping center.
Yeah, all the
mall.
Saturday Temecula traffic for sure. But the shop itself, wow, you get there, and again, most of it is dedicated to like gaming space, but they've got, some comic bins and things like that, a few wall books, but they had some good sales there. They had on their trade paperbacks, it was buy two, get one free, which of course, if you're listening, it's like, well, you can go to Amazon, and of course there's always ways to get these things cheaper, but we always like buying them from the stores, even though it costs a little bit more to support those businesses and stuff. But they had that. They also had short boxes you could fill. They had empty short boxes. You could fill an entire short box for $30. And the books were mostly, I'd say, books from the last 10 to 15 years. I didn't see much like Bronze Age, didn't see Silver Age type stuff, things like that. And in general, the store didn't have much of those types of things. But that was, a good deal. They only had maybe 12 boxes to sort through to make your short boxes, so we weren't going to spend the time to do that, but a good deal, and a lot of people were having fun with that.
Yeah, and I believe I think based on what the lady in line said, I think they normally open at like noon, and they were open when she was at the others. She had already been there by the time we got to graham crackers and stuff, and so they had opened early. So I'm very curious, like, how many bins there were to start the day, because we were there not late, definitely,
No.
but well after they had opened, so there may have been a lot more, but at that price and at that I was kind of surprised how many people were around the bins digging through and stuff. Like, there was really only kind of two bigger tables full of stuff, or not even full of stuff, but with boxes and stuff, and each one seemed to have like someone standing there going through them and stuff. So I am curious. There may have been quite a selection to begin with, but by the time we got there, not so much.
Yeah, and then the real highlight is that all of their Free Comic Book Days were, all of their Free Comic Book Day books were one per customer free. So if they had 50 different titles, you could grab all 50. So as we got there, they probably had like 30 or so titles there. They did integrate, as did really everywhere we stopped today, had leftovers from like last year or the Halloween Fest and stuff like that. So we picked those up. To pick up the Winchester, there was a Free Comic Book Day for the Winchester Mystery House, which is a really fun kind of one-shot book there. We got all the DC and Marvel stuff and things like that. In terms of the pickups like to support them. Really, the trades seem to make the most sense. So got 2 of the Invincible trades, which I love. I love the Invincible show on Amazon, but I also love the book. I mean, it's a really good book. So there's 2 that I needed, and then a Quantum and Woody from Valiant. I've been needing number 4 for a long time, since I don't know, probably since the last time we saw Valiant at a convention, and so I picked that up. And
those trades were buy 2 get 1, and get 1 free. And then they also had an artist there who was signing his books, but I didn't catch who it was. But he had his books there and stuff. So it was a cool free comic book day stop, and they did have a little bit extra and stuff than normal. But yeah, overall a good stop, I thought.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, then we've gotten Stranger Things, we've gotten the Marvel Voices and X-Men versus Avengers and Dark Crisis, and then we picked up some trades, and we picked up an old book in that Green Lantern #17. So really, at this point, everything was kind of gravy and extra, which was nice. So we made our way down to the Escondido area, to the Westfield Mall there for comics and stuff, which is a chain also. I think you looked up that there's maybe 7 or so stores of them in the San Diego and kind of surrounding area, Carlsbad, El Cajon, and stuff like that.
And one in Nevada.
One in Nevada.
Vegas.
I really like them. Now, they are really interesting because it reminds me of mall rats, because they really are they're the comic shop that exists in the malls. Like, that's their whole business plan, is to be a mall comic shop, and they're quite big. Like, they take on an Express or a New York and Company size store, or a Hollister or something like that, where it's like, this is not a small shop. There's a lot of room to move around, lots of action figures, lots of trading cards, lots of bins, lots of not a ton of wall books, but a few wall books, but lots of books in general on the wall. Maybe not the highest value books, but lots of books on the walls and stuff. But they weren't really celebrating Free Comic Book Day much. They had just a tiny kind of little slice near the cash register of maybe 15 of the titles or something like that, and it said 2 per customer, and there was no one really manning it. So it was kind of like, well, when you buy your books, you'll get them. But I had already thought going there, it's like, well, they have comic supplies at a decent price. We usually buy comic supplies like comic long boxes, really short boxes these days, bags and boards and stuff at Frank and Son. But well, let's get a short box. So we got a short box there for $7, and then 2 of Jeff Lemire's Maze book to kind of finish out that run, because there was some that I missed of that, and I really enjoy reading that one. So we spent our $15 or whatever it ended up being, and each got 2 of the books. And one nice thing with the books that they did have, though, because we hadn't found the Donald Duck one yet, or Street Fighter, and we were able to pick up both of those there, and also got an Avatar Korra, and then another Dark Crisis. So I have a lot of nostalgia for comics and stuff just from their Horton location, because that was one of the spots when I would come down to do Comic-Con build hunting, and it's like, well, you're hunting Comic-Con stuff, it'd be nice to see some comics, and I'd go over to Horton and go to comics and stuff, and that'd obviously be open year-round, and you got that kind of Comic-Con vibe. So Horton is no longer with us in terms of a shopping destination, and comics and stuff is gone from there, but whenever we visit, their locations are also similar. They just kind of change in size, but they all have a very similar kind of footprint in terms of the style of the store, with a real offering of a lot of different types of things, that it just kind of felt like walking back in time a little bit.
Yeah, it's cool. And we've also gone to their Mission Valley store before, and their Carlsbad. And I think Carlsbad is the one that you like the most.
Carlsbad's my favorite. That one is huge. Like, that's probably like the size of 3 kind of, chain mall type stores, all kind of running side by side. But yeah, it's kind of the least on our way to anything over there in Carlsbad. So
so today we hit Escondido, and it was a fine stop, but there wasn't too much going on, and
no sales, at least nothing that they were advertising at that point.
Nothing that we saw. So, but it was still a cool stop.
Yep. So then we made our way. Stop number 4 was Comickaze in the Clairemont Mesa area of San Diego, and this is one I've seen the name, and I think there's a few different Comicazes with different variations on the name. So I don't know. Maybe the convention ones I've seen are different than this one. I don't know, but I know I've wanted to visit a Comickaze comic store at some point, and so we did. Now, unfortunately, they had ended their free comic book day at 3, and we got there probably like 3:15, 3:30, something like that, and they just kind of didn't have it wasn't really clear what sales were going on. It was a very small store, and then like half of the store seemed to be storage. Like, it said employees only, and it was just like books and boxes stacked
kind
up,
of a mess.
literally chest high, that like made this like giant 3 or 4 foot wide wall, and it was just kind of, there was a lot of people, but it just seemed very chaotic. The only deal I ended up really seeing was they had $5 trades, and there's some good trades in there. Some IDW Doctor Who and a couple Thors and stuff.
Actually, their Funko Pop were buy 3 get 1 free.
Okay.
I did see see that sign. And then there was the Dark Horse, I think.
Yeah, Dark Horse was like buy two, get one or something like that. Yeah,
Yes.
something. But not, it was hard to really get into much of a mood for it there the way it was, and but
they were they were just very much done with Free Comic Book Day outside of those lingering sales or whatever. I mean, it's one of the first things I heard as I walked in was the guy on the phone was telling someone on the phone, yeah, we ended that at 3:00. Free Comic Book Day's over, and the shop was busy, and I think several people were looking for the free comics and also shopping. But they just, I think it was just done. It was like they'd had a long day and they were like ready to just shut the store down. So I think the store itself was supposed to be open till 5. So it was still going, the store was still open, but it didn't feel, they just seemed completely indifferent if you're there or not. Yeah. So a little frustrating.
They did have 2 of the 7 secrets that I need from Boom Comics, written by Tom Taylor. It's a really fun series, and so it was nice that we picked up those 2. Which was missing. We picked up what we needed for Primordial, another Lemire book, and then the Maze book one. So was able to kind of now set it up so that I'll be caught up on 3 books that I had kind of just missed an issue, like, missed number 13, but had number 14 and 15 type of thing. So it's kind of like Tetris. Now it unlocks a bunch of issues that I'm able to read. So I was very excited to find that, even though we didn't, so we still bought some stuff, even though there was no free stuff there. And then that kind of carried into the next spot, although there was a whole lot more activity and kind of fun at the next spot. But that was Southern California Comics. Southern California Comics is really one of my favorite comic shops anywhere they've ever visited. It is awesome. Their bins are awesome. Their dollar books, their 4 for $10 books, their wall books, everything you want. Everything you want they have. They even have a little bit of Mego toys.
Statues.
Yeah.
They have really high-end stuff, and they also have,
you can go in there and you can find, I don't even look today, but you can find a Fantastic Four #1 and things like that. This is a store that really goes the range, and they also have areas where they can kind of cater to the kids as well and stuff. But as soon as we walked up, it was like they normally have kind of an outdoor kind of little festival con area in front of the store. And you could see everybody was like hurriedly packing all that stuff up. So the free comic books were done there as well. And they also said it was done at 3, but they were still going with, they was having a sale. They had these tables of trades, hardbacks, a couple omnibuses mixed in there, a couple nonfiction pieces, but mostly kind of, Nightwing #1, volume #1, JLA volume number 17, from New 52 or something like that. Or I guess not 17, but maybe 7 or something like that. But they were like $5, $10, $15 trades. They were their discount trades, but now they just wanted to clear them out, and they were like, they're all $2. And so it was like, what? They're $2? Because for us, there's some I want to read, but then there's some we can use for giveaways. There's some we can use for prize drops at conventions. There's so many things. Some of them are people that, family that's into some of these things that might want, a Superman trade or whatever. So we ended up picking up like 35, I believe it was, trades. Which is crazy. I would have thought there'd be a world where we even pick those up, because I'm, even aside from that, I'm much more of a single issue reader than a trade. But in this situation where it's $2, that's cheaper than literally any comic book right now. So it was like, it wasn't Free Comic Book Day, but yet it really was Free Comic Book Day there, and it was still a great visit. Yeah, and it was just nice to be in the store. That's another one, again, that's just like, I just love being in the store all year round. It always feels, so good when we're able to stop off over there in San Diego and make our way to that store. So it was a very nice stop, even though there was no free books to be had there.
Yeah, and it was, generally they're quite welcoming on any given day, but today in particular, the girl who was kind of manning the tray tables, she was like kind of giving people a hard time if they weren't like holding stacks of them. She's like, come on, they're $2. You can take that and you can get that. And what are you, and, she was just like really encouraging. So they really did, she was really hyped about the $2 price, and rightfully so, because they are, not expensive books, but they're not the cheapest books in general. And for $2, it's like, and you just kept getting more and more. And I'm like thinking, this is going to add up. I don't know how much we were planning on spending here, but this is going to add up. And it did, but obviously we'll make good use of them and spread them out and share the love in any way that we can and stuff. So yeah, that was fun. And then of course we went in and took a look around, but I don't think we got anything from the inside of the store.
No, we spent about $70 on those. That was kind of our thing there. But those there was at least $700 worth of trades there. I mean, it was, and that's on a low end because there were several books that we bought were above the $20 price and stuff. So
when I paid the guy, they had taken the books and set them aside for us, so we weren't dragging them around the store when we were looking and stuff. And he just gave me a total, and I'm like, yeah, I'm just going to trust you because I didn't take the time to count them or whatever. He's like, $2 a piece. It is well over $500. I'm like, yeah, I'm just saying I don't know how much is there, whatever. But it was quite the find.
Yeah, we're always in a unique spot with stuff like that because there's the stuff we want to collect, but there's the stuff that we can use as giveaways and prize drops. And I mean, I'm always trying to add to that, to have and coming this summer. I mean, not that none of this was Star Wars, but it's like between Star Wars Celebration and San Diego Comic-Con and D23, and there's going to be a lot of opportunities where we're going to be doing prize drops and giveaways and things like that. So it was a really nice stop that we'll benefit from for many years ahead. But it was a good stop there. And then we finished off with one of, again, our favorite stores. I mean, these last two are two of our favorite, all-time stops. And that's Now or Never Comics down in San Diego. And that really has been, I know we've talked about it quite a few times in podcasts and just social media stuff. But I mean, they really were kind of our Comic-Con when there wasn't a Comic-Con for those 2 years because we would still come down here. And I remember even during the closure when comic shops weren't allowed to be open, the owner Aaron would be posting like improvements that he'd be doing in the store, and I always really appreciated like his optimism, and it felt good seeing somebody do something positive in the comic world in San Diego during the closures when there wasn't going to be a Comic-Con, and you'd be seeing him adding shelving or he got these new books in, and when we reopen we're going to have them. So anyway, I just have a real fondness for the store. They have good deals, very clean, very well organized, just everything that you could really want there's the old books, there's old toys, the whole top floor. You've got Kenner Star Wars and Transformers and just everything else, but was really great. Now, he had tipped everybody off on their social posts earlier in the day to let us know that there's a Padres game tonight, and we had to plan for that, so we knew that coming in, which was helpful because in the end you were kind of ready for that, and so you just dropped me off to kind of run in and shop it up a little bit, and so I ran in. He was also doing one of every book free, so there was probably like 15 or so books left, so I got one of everything there, which was really nice because he did have a few that I hadn't picked up yet, and so got those ones, and then also picked up an Avengers number 246, which is the first appearance of Maria Rambeau. That's Monica Rambeau's mother, which has been kind of a hot topic kind of thing lately, so I figured, okay, I can add another one of those to collection. And then Captain America 136, which is one of the handful of Captain America still missing. It's one of the classic Captain America and Falcon 15-cent issues, Falcon in the green suit before he gets the, what becomes the iconic red and white and all of that. So it was really nice to pick up two books again, like, okay, I really want these books. It's not like we're just trying to kind of throw some money at them, like this is good stuff here, and then also get some free books. And we talked a little bit, and he was saying that he has to watch more and more about the Padres games because it's just becoming a bigger kind of a traffic hassle down here and stuff, so kind of got to plan around it. But
yeah, and generally it's a decent distance from Petco and from the convention center, so I was kind of thinking, is it really going to be that much of an issue way out there? But I think where he's located, based on the way traffic was going, it's like, I think that's like one of the main turns that you would make to get to Petco from, I'm sure, different directions or whatever. But so if we went, through the light one more block, there wasn't much traffic, but everybody was like right there making the left just around it. And so and some of those streets there in that area are one-way streets. And so I had, as you said, I had known, because he had warned us and stuff, I knew that it wasn't going to be great, but I thought it would, like I said, be nice to end our day down here and stuff. So I deliberately made that our last stop, even knowing that the game was going to be going on. I figured as far as parking for here, we'll find parking somewhere and we'll take the hike in or whatever. We're not opposed to hiking for these types of things and stuff. And so, yeah, with the drop off, it's like, I told you, I was like, worst case scenario, I'll drop you off and then I'll just circle until I pick you up or whatever. And that isn't what ended up happening for that spot or that stop. But yeah, fortunately he had warned us, so we knew that going into it. So it wasn't. I think you were more stressed about the situation than I was. I just figured we'll make it work, and we did. And so I'm glad you were able to get those couple books and stuff, because I think one of those books when you wanted the last time we were down here, but I can't remember why I didn't get it. And so I'm glad that it was still there, so you were able to pick it up this time.
Yeah, Now or Never is always a good stop. I've never been disappointed visiting there, and for that matter, Southern California, I've never been disappointed visiting either of those stores. They just have everything that I like about comics there, and lots of it. It's all a lot of temptation, which is fantastic fun. And so it was a good way to kind of end on the comic shop hop there, the crawl. So then we went and parked way down on First, about a half mile out, and made our way down, and decided we would podcast over here near the convention center and kind of be in that con area. And so it kind of feels good knowing we'll be here very soon for lots of the kind of build type stuff. There's more and more Comic-Con news every day, but also be down here in the not too distant future starting to do things like our visual guides and offsites and all of that type of stuff. So that is around the corner. But there's a lot of things on the calendar before that, so I guess we'll go ahead and wrap up here on the Free Comic Book Day Crawl and talk about some of those things on the calendar. Just a reminder, over at parksandcons.com, Carmel's always updating the calendar and adding events there, and so you can always check over there if you want to look 6 months out for what conventions might be coming or things that have kind of caught our eye. And also feel free always to let us know if there are things in the area that we're kind of able to cover that you think want to keep an eye out for. So next up for us, though, the Disneyana show returns over there down near the Disneyland area. That is coming back May 15th. Robo Toy Fest over at the Pasadena Convention Center. That also returns that same day on the 15th. Knott's kicks off their summer season with Summer Nights on May 20th. Comic-Con Revolution. And we will have some giveaways, some tickets. They've reached out and have been very kind and once again giving us some tickets to give away to people. So follow us on social media there to hear more about that. That's going to be taking place May 21st and 22nd at the Ontario Convention Center. Star Wars Celebration Anaheim, coming back first time since 2015. That is May 26th through the 29th at the Anaheim Convention Center. We've got lots of videos coming up with that as well. Monster Palooza, first time back for it as well since 2019. That is going to be June 3rd through the 5th. Anime Riverside also June 4th through the 5th. Haunt X June 11th through the 12th, and San Fernando Valley Comic Con June 11th. Once again, we want to thank our Parks and Cons crew. We greatly appreciate all of your support, every single one of you, every single dollar that goes to all the stuff we put together. We do appreciate it. If you're interested in bonus content and being part of the crew and helping support the show and all the stuff we do, please find us over on Patreon. If you've not done so already, please consider leaving us a review wherever you find the podcast. Every review helps someone else be able to find us. We do appreciate every single one of those. You can always follow along with us for coverage in real time at Parks and Cons on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and of course YouTube. Wrapping up our Free Comic Book Day crawl. Until next time, we'll see you in line somewhere.